invocation and the pledge, but unfortunately they had things come up, so I think you're going to do it yourself. Is that correct?
That's what's happening.
Okay, Ms. Cheryl, hang on.
Thank you. Bow your heads, please. Accept our thanks for this day and all its blessings. Guide and direct this board in our actions. Grant that each of us may feel our responsibility to Monroe City Schools, our employees, our students, and our community. Bless our meeting today and all those in attendance. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Hainline. Ms. Donnie, could we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Sampanero.
Here.
Ms. Hayline. Mr. Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Berry.
Present.
Ms. Cooper.
Present.
Mr. Johnson.
Present.
Ms. Shelling.
Present.
All are present.
Thank you very much. Can we have a motion for adoption of the agenda? Motion made and second. Any question, discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. That is approved unanimously. Point of pride, this is a great part of celebration we have for a group of young ladies and their coaches that won their second state championship in a row. I think that's fantastic. Mr. Johnson, I bet you might have some comments or things to say to the team. Or I'm putting you on the spot. I'll stall, give you time to think.
Great group of ladies, very young last year, with a great coaching staff. I had the pleasure of being able to be coached by Coach Robinson when I went to Wasma High School. Not only are these girls excelling on the court, but they're excelling academically as well. I believe the team had a GPA of 3.4 last year, and we ran around the same area this year. It shows discipline on and off the court. A lot of these girls are my babies, we fight all the time, but I love them all and I do anything for them. One of our seniors, Tiaja Martin, was Wasma High School Student of the Year. Also, she received one of the state championship for 4.0 GPA.
Wow.
Stand up, please. Stand up.
Stand up, please. All right.
And you can smile. It's okay.
Also, we have a sophomore, still a baby, Miss Wilson. She was our district's player of the year.
All right.
So we have two seniors in this group. So, you know, if you all just think about it and if you know sports a little bit, you do the math and know what's coming next.
Yes.
So they can get used to those faces because they're going to be back again.
That's awesome.
They're going to be back again. We got the MVP of the state championship games that just walked in the door.
All right. Last but not least.
But it's something special about these girls and just coming from an athletic background, being able to be on the staff at Grambling State University at one time under Coach Freddie Murray and winning the SWAC, coaching on his staff. These girls are not selfish. And that is very important in order to be successful on the court. They're not selfish, you know. If one struggle or two struggle, they have others that say, okay, I'm gonna put you all on my back and we're gonna go.
That's
We got a couple of freshmen that had to step up this year, had to step up in a major time down in who we was, Hammond, and played some real valuable minutes for the team, and we look forward to them doing better things next year to go ahead and contribute to the team. But that was major. That was major to be able to step up in a time like that because for some people, that stage is too big. But, you know, they embraced it. You know, one thing about Coach Rob, he was tough when he coached me. He wasn't scared. He's not scared to play nobody. So these girls was battle tested, and that helped us down the stretch. So, you know, very proud these young ladies from our school, the Dove.
Congratulations. Ladies, stand up, we want to take a picture. Yes, Ms. Lala, yes,
May I
ma'am.
please say something?
Yes.
Having been girls' basketball coach at Endeavor,
And former
admire-
college basketball player.
And I played basketball also. I just want to applaud you all because you did such an outstanding job, and I know how hard that is. I know what it takes: teamwork, perseverance. I know you fuss when you have to run the lines. I know all about that, but that's what makes you so awesome. And I just want you to know from the depths of my soul how proud I am of you. And I cannot say congratulations enough for the job that you did. Very well done and outstanding.
Thank
I love my whistle, because that's what I used to do in honor of you. Thank you so very much.
And Coach Robinson, if you come up, Coach Robinson, come up right here, maybe you want to introduce your young ladies to us.
Good evening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start right here in Dorothy Field,
Right here, young ladies, right here in front.
Right up here. We're gonna take some pictures.
sophomore, junior. Mariah Scriff, sophomore. Camilla Manyweather, junior, 4.06. Ms. Robinson, freshman. David Summer. Denaya Ross. Nara Wilson. Maya Augustin, sophomore. Shante Smith, freshman. Tiaja Martin, senior. The two that assist me, they help me out a lot. Zara Dill. And Geraldine Guillaume.
Ladies, if y'all can move forward, we're gonna get behind y'all, if that's okay. Mr. Johnson, congratulations, coach. Great job.
Thank you.
Some of you know we'll go behind the others, that will be nice for our coaches. They want to come behind us. Have BJ Scott, scoot down behind.
Finally.
Mr. Johnson, I'm gonna sit with the team. I get to do Let's do it side by side. The ladies go side by side. There we go.
If you don't see the camera, they don't see you.
Sorry, can y'all see the camera? Everybody in tight. Come on, squeeze side to side. Here we go. All right. All right.
Wait, don't go. Thank you.
All right, great job. All right, we want to do this again next year, okay? Y'all on the mountain, you gotta stay up there. Okay, we'll move on to number 3, presentation of financial audit. Mr. Josh Trahan, CPA, if you could come forward and give us an overview, please, sir.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Kind of hard to follow that. In front of y'all is the financial statements for June 30, 2022. A little bit of light reading, no quiz after, but it helps to follow too. So overall, this report has 4 reports that are included in it. It has the independent auditor's report. It has the report over internal controls and financial reporting on compliance and other matters for governmental entities, and then an internal audit report over the compliance on each major federal program that we tested. All three, and then we have the state library on procedures as well. All four of those were in good shape. So there are findings that we had, and I'll discuss them in a little bit. But for the main three audits that you want to see an unmodified clean opinion. That's what you have in all three instances of it. A financial overview, your financial statements, your governmental balance sheet that you normally see on a month-end basis, increased $4 million approximately over the last year. Your general fund, which is obviously your biggest and most important fund, increased $1.4 million over the prior year to bring your fund balance to $21.2 million. A lot of that is an indirect effect from the ESSER funding from the COVID grants. There's a 20% indirect cost rate, and so your fund balance for general fund is normally strong anyway. It has been in a great financial position for a number of years since I've been involved, and it's just kind of building up.
And we're still AA- rated by the Moody's, S&P, correct, on the bond outlook with a positive outlook.
I haven't seen any negative trends.
Right.
With that. For the findings, there were 6 findings that we did report on this year. One of them is dealing with the school activity funds. We're still getting used to that, having those controls kind of operate at the same level of the school board. It's hard. You have 20 schools, 20 people doing things differently. And so trying to work with your staff to help the schools kind of coordinate and get on kind of the same page. That way we can kind of alleviate some.
Are we making progress?
Yes, progress is being made. Nothing is overwhelming. You have a lot of transactions. You have some large schools. And you have segregation of duties issues. So you kind of have 1 or 2 people doing a lot of it. Mistakes happen.
Right.
And that's going to be normal. The second one that we had was an instance of noncompliance for professional leave. I reported on that one last year. This is just a carryover from the timing of whenever it was discovered last year, and it kind of bled over into this year. However, I think that the situation has resolved itself.
The employee's no longer with our district, correct?
So that instance should go away next year.
Right.
So that one resolved itself. The third instance of non-compliant, or the second instance of non-compliance, the third finding had to deal with ethics. Every public servant's required to have 1 hour state ethics training. There's some back and forth with some discrepancies on who's responsible for getting that ethics training, and it falls under any employee. So even substitutes are required, and sometimes it's hard because substitutes can go with multiple districts.
I didn't realize that about substitutes.
Yes, it's all, including sexual harassment training for substitutes as a protection from the school district.
Right.
And so then it's whose ultimate responsibility is it to have that, to make sure they have that training. And so if you have a substitute that may work for 2 or 3 districts, it may just be a little bit of an overlap and oversight. But we didn't have any ethics issues this year. The fourth one dealt with teacher certification pay. There were some issues that came up with that. Teachers were paid the improper sales tax, certified sales tax instead of the classified sales tax. And that actually was resolved and taken out of the general fund. Entries were made to
correct that.
Yes.
Okay.
The last 2 the findings that we have, you're going to laugh when you hear about the dollar amounts on this. So you have $35.7 million that you spent in federal funds alone. And we have to test 20 or 40% of those funds, depending on your risk rating. This year was the first time that y'all have actually been a low risk IT. So we didn't have to test the 40% requirement. However, because of your COVID funding expenditures, we ended up testing 40% of it because it's so big. Your ESSER funds had no issues. Clean opinion, No internal control findings, no compliance findings, nothing. Special education, we had 2 findings. The first one was a timesheet discrepancy of 0.25 hours. Caused an error of $7 that got extrapolated out to like $700.
Wow.
So completely, so non-compliance and internal control failure on the review side. Somebody who was recalculating the timesheet, recalculated it, missed it by 2.25 hours. The second one was suspension and debarment. So anytime you have federal funds, you're supposed to make sure that all your vendors are not disbarred or suspended from the federal, from the SAM site to make sure that they're appropriate vendors. That internal control is not in place. It's already been discussed. Procedures have already been put in place to make sure that it's corrected going forward. It's an internal control finding. However, there is no compliance issues because your vendors are reputable vendors. They're in good standing with the federal government to have, to be used by the school board. And so it didn't rise up to be very significant in that because there was no compliance findings.
So the 6 findings, it doesn't sound as if there's a major finding, that they're primarily minor findings.
They are, I would consider them minor findings. Right. They're all in a various stage of being corrected going forward.
Right.
And as soon as I identify something, I bring it to management's attention and they begin working on it.
Mr. Trondheim, we had a conversation, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and you were very complimentary of our CFO.
Yes.
Mrs. Devon Howard, as well as her entire staff. Could you elaborate just briefly, if you don't mind?
Yes. So I've been involved with the school board for a number of years. I think 2016 was the first year that our firm was involved. And ever since we've been involved, the continuity of the staff, the willingness to not take things, not take findings personal, but they take it personal to make sure that it gets corrected timely. They do a very good job of communicating, do a very good job of providing things to us timely, which I was having a discussion with Mr. Lawrence earlier about the delays that we've been experiencing lately. But we haven't had any issues. Everything that's provided to us is right the first time. They don't just give us something just to pacify us and kind of push us down the road. And you have a very good group. And anytime that there are issues, instead of doing it and making sure to see if they can get it right, they want to do it right the first time.
All right, that's awesome.
And so we have very good staff across the board.
That's good to know. And family searching, right?
That goes to other departments. That goes to the other departments that we deal with too.
Right.
Nutrition, special education, everybody is, not just the human finance group.
I appreciate that. And wasn't it 3 years ago, if memory serves me right, we didn't have any findings?
Correct.
Yeah, which is amazing.
And findings happen.
Right.
With a school district of your size, it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Some of it's just risk, the sampling risk that we have. But it's impressive.
That's awesome.
And it's a very organized group.
Thank you. Board members, yes, Ms.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Josh, you mentioned the school activity fund is one of the non-compliant areas.
Yes.
And you said that you're working with the staff at the school?
Well, I'm working with the accountant here at the school board level.
Oh, okay.
To guide her and, because we can't, to not impair our independence, we can't kind of dictate and tell y'all what to do, but we can kind of guide and give examples of procedures that they can put in place to make sure that it's helped and to improve at the school level.
Are we trying to put in place just uniform procedures, the same procedures in every school?
Yes.
Are we close to making that happen?
There's a couple schools that are doing things very well. And so she is trying to mirror those procedures that are at that school, how they've done things, to try to implement across the board.
Any other questions? Dr. Dream?
Devon, Ms. Howard is not here tonight. She had knee surgery this past Thursday. She's doing fine. I spoke to her this past Friday. She'll be back with us here in another week or so, as soon as we get back from spring break. So that's why Ms. Howard is not here tonight.
Please pass on the compliments, if you don't mind. Thank you. Mr. Trahan, thank you very much. Appreciate your help. Work.
Good to work with y'all.
You have a good evening. Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you.
Okay, we're on to number 4. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? There's a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Any, Dr. Dream, anything you need to apply to with that? Okay. Moving to number 5, consent items for separate consideration.
So moved.
Motion made, second. Any questions? All in favor, aye. All opposed? Roll call, I'm sorry. Ms. Honey, could you give a roll call, please?
Mr. Zampanero, Ms. Hayline,
In favor.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
In favor.
Mr. Johnson,
Recuse.
Ms. Shelling,
Here, I mean, yes. In favor.
Mr. Wilson.
In favor.
Okay, 6 in favor and 1 recused.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move to new business. Item A, policy handbook. Ms. Shelling, did you
Yes.
want to cover this?
Yes, as you know, I am chairperson of the policy committee, and, need something? I'm going to ask, oh, I'm so sorry, baby. I haven't been here in 4 years.
No, turn it, yeah, just a little closer. There we go.
Yeah, I got that. Okay, but it has taken me so long to review that policy handbook. So last week I decided that perhaps we might want to look at each section and each committee where there is a policy. I would like for the committees to review that particular portion of the handbook. For example, curriculum, you would deal with the curriculum. Policies, I will deal with policies, and you're chairperson of the transportation. And you're which? Finance, Ms. Betty, you're
Insurance.
insurance, and you're
Facility.
facilities. So each person, I know that's asking you to do a lot, because we have someone who does this, but in order for us to assure that we're doing the right thing, I would like for each person to review that particular section, just that section, and meet with me to go over those, ideas.
Okay.
I appreciate you very much.
Any questions? Okay, that's not an item we need to vote on. So we will move on to item 6B, action on superintendent's contract renewal and extension. So the superintendent's contract is up for renewal. It expires June 30th. And Dr. Dreen has requested an extension of the existing contract. So what I would like to do is ask for a motion, a second, and then open up for discussion. And then after discussion, we would move to a vote. So is there a motion for approval?
I'd like to make a motion for approval with the extension of Dr. Rodriguez's contract as presented. I believe the term was through in June 2025.
Correct, 2 years, that's correct. There's been a motion made. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Second, okay. So now we'll open up for discussion.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Some information that I had a concern about and some constituents as well, Dr. Dream. Is it a plan in place to help improve African American students test taking skills in order to increase the test taking skills for our African American kids? Pretty much that's my district, pretty much majority African American. So it has been a question of a constituent, makes some sense, and some things that, I've been looking at over the course of my term as school board.
Yes, those things are all in place, and we have, I said, I have no problem showing to you that in the office for visit. I'll show you exactly what we're doing. So we, in our critical meetings, when Ms. Cooper was the chair this past time, she can a test. We brought our curriculum folks in front, we presented all our curriculum to the board, to the curriculum committee of what we do with our students based, everywhere from, evidence-based instruction, to different instruction, project-based instruction. We do all types. We, in that sense right there.
Do we have anything that's kind of pending, that we're gonna try to focus on or try in order to try to help increase that? Because, if we look at, our elementary, especially on the south side, most of them are either DLF schools. We have made some improvement, like, Bert Jones did a really, really good job this year. And was one of our biggest leaps, across our district. But, there is still work to do now. I don't expect the things to be done overnight.
I met with 2 community groups over the past month, 6 community groups, influential members of our community. And I showed them our test scores, where we were in the last 5 or 6 years. Shows you through charts where, the green thing shows green has gone up. Each individual school, each individual, as far as testing. Again, we test our kids, and one of the things in my superintendent's report is I'm going to send you a testing schedule on Friday, your board notes, and you're going to say, we're going to test kids for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm going to say, yes. We're going to take 3rd graders, and we're going to test them all week long, which is just great, on a computer, that way. But we do have all those things in place in our schools. We have our ILT meetings, our PLC meetings with our teams and our staff and our school central office. We do all those things.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Michelle? Yes, would you like to speak?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
would. Dr. Madreen, last board meeting, Mrs. Moore, the State Representative Moore, offered us an opportunity to have an early elementary age curriculum daycare. Could we consider that ourselves instead of sourcing it out to the State Department for 3-year-olds? Because right now the students are functioning at a much higher level, but they're not producing. And if we can do that by including them in the educational process, I know it's not state law, but if we can do that, it would give the kids an opportunity to start at an earlier age in school.
Right now, we currently fund 23 pre-K schools ourselves in our district. 5 are funded through the LA program, LA4 program. 2 are funded through the AG grant, which are not fully funded, and we pay for the other 16 pre-K 4s in our district. We also pay for a pair in every classroom through our general fund and our title funds, which is really the extent of what these 2 districts do. If you look next door to the parish, or what we compare with pre-K, we service 460 students right now. We're not at capacity on our pre-K. We have openings in our pre-K. We have 1 school that fills up, and that's J.S. Clark. All other elementary schools have current openings in their pre-K. When we look at our 3-year-olds, Head Start is a federal program. In the board, in my superintendent comments, I'll also speak. I met with the new Head Start. Primetime, as we know, is no longer with us. The company is out of San Antonio called Inc. I met with them actually this morning to start reviewing the process of the 3 and 4-year-olds. We're not even going to do that. Our biggest thing is it doesn't come under state mandates. Pre-K 4 doesn't either. And we with those 23 pre-K classrooms, we put certified teachers in there, so that it makes it very tough, to fill those slots. But as I said, we pick our kids up. Our pre-K kids are picked up at the door and brought to school. But to move down to 0 to 3 is a tough entity.
No, I'm speaking of only 3-year-olds.
On 3-year-olds.
3-year-olds.
Like I said, there's we cutting into what Head Start is paid to do from the federal government. Again, we're going to partner with them. We're meeting with Inc. today. We started talking about some things we can do with him on the K site. But to expand that reach with certified personnel would be really tough. I don't know if that can be done or
Perhaps
possibly
we
done.
can look into it.
Oh, we look into it right now. We met with them 3 or 4 times, So we're looking at what can be done.
That will help or enhance the students' learning process, because they have the capacity now, but the students themselves are not introduced in most cases the Head Start, treat those, include the kids that who can't afford, but then the kids who cannot go to school, that's another situation.
That was one of our things we talked about today, because prime time did not provide transportation to MLK site. And we talked about that today, and they talked about providing that
Now,
transportation.
will prime time,
They're no longer with us.
that's right, okay.
It's a new company, it's called Inc., INK.
Yes,
Is that the
okay.
one out of Texas?
San Antonio, Texas, they received the federal Head Start grant.
Okay.
We started talking about some things today with them.
Gotcha.
It was our first meeting, we talked on the phone a couple times, our first formal meeting was this morning.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Goodman.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Madrine, for, taking our questions. We've been getting a lot of calls from constituents, and one constituent has communicated this message, and I'm going to let you answer his questions here. He indicated that Black board members should be extremely concerned that the latest Bessie reports from October 2022 show Black students in every school except J.S. Clark are performing below average in English, math, science, and social studies. He went on to say, on the other hand, white students are performing above average. White students are improving. Black students are declining. In one Southside school, only 15% of the students can read on grade level. And elementary school in Booker T has a 100% failure rate in history. And that's the data the state has provided. He went on to say we get new buildings and plenty of symbolism from this superintendent, but it's been over a decade on his watch. And the system overall looks well, but the academic performance of Black students is getting progressively worse. He has not had a plan to address the Black brain drain from the last decade. If he still has no plan, why should he be given a new contract? If a football team had a consistent losing record, would the coach be rehired? And so tomorrow he said, ask him the question, what is your specific plan to improve the academic performance of Black students above 1% in the next 2 years? His answer should determine your vote.
Absolutely, first of all, the correlation between test scores and a football coach is not comparative, because we know where the goal line is in a football game. They don't move it. In testing, we move the standard all the time. 2018, 2019, the test score was changed, and it was raised. The bar was raised for students. So in 2018, a student who scored approaching basic received 50 SPS points. Today in 2022, actually in 2019, it began in 2020, they receive 0 for that now. So what counted for 50 points 4 years ago now is at 0 for those students. So we have improvement. And that constituent, and I'll say everything that constituent said that we should do. And I'll read what he said. He said, first of all, we should implement evidence-based instruction strategies. We do that. He said what else should we do? I said we should use differential instruction. We do that. We should use project-based learning. We do that. We should use personalized learning. We do that. Focusing on early literacy. He said we should have pre-K programs. We do that. We should have high-quality pre-K. We have certified teachers in our pre-K. We have a tier 1 curriculum in our pre-K. He said we should target literacy with ongoing support for our struggling readers. We do that with our tutoring in the school day and outside the school day with our Century 21st, and also we provide tutoring in every school after school in our district. He said we need increased parent communication. He said we need to engage parents. We do that. Our parents are engaged. We can reach our parents anytime. We have a Remind app that allows us to speak to our parents all the time. He said we need to have family literacy nights. He said we need community partners. He said we need parent-teacher conferences. We do all those things. I don't believe we realize, if you're following Monroe City Schools website, webpage for Facebook, and that you'll see all the things that go on in schools with our principals and our teachers working hours that they don't get paid for. This is all done because they care and they want our students to get better. He also asks us to provide, one of the big things we face now is mental with our students. He asks us to provide wraparound service for our counselors, health service, social emotional learning. We provide that with outside counselors after school. We've hired social counselors, put them in our junior high schools to help our middle school students because it's a tough age at 13, 14. He said increase technology, provide a 1-to-1 ratio. When half our schools, we're at 2-to-1 ratio. Kids have one at home and one at school. Computers. He said we need to have smart boards. We just put in 800 brand new smart boards across our district, state of the art in all of our school buildings. You've got them in from the locker rooms to the principals to the ILT rooms. Every room has a brand new one. I said all our curriculum matches across our district. If you walk into a second grade classroom at Cypress Point, a second grade classroom at Burke Jones, they all collaborate together. The same exact curriculum, no changes. We do that because this way those 23, 25 second grade teachers across our district, when we have a meeting, we can bring them all together and they can have the discussion about exactly what's going on in the classroom. You're not teaching one curriculum, you're not teaching one curriculum, you're not teaching one. They all teach the same curriculum. Build a culture of high expectations. That's the hardest thing we have to do, is build a culture of high expectations. Because, and I'll quote what BJ said a while ago, we have a culture that's soft. Very soft. You ask those coaches, they'll tell you, the first thing they want to do is quit because we believe, and all of a sudden we think because we quit, we deserve a trophy.
I love it.
We just have to keep the comments quiet, please, the audience, I understand.
Attacking the problem, we attack it every day in our classrooms. But again, you'll hear me say this over and over. If we are judging our students by a test score, because I know this, we believe in sending our kids everywhere for exposure. Every month, you see our kids going places. We're going from Hot Springs to Memphis, Tennessee, to Orlando, Florida. Our buses run more than anybody else around. I know how much our buses run because we run when we push it. We have changed all of our practice with how we discipline our kids, how we speak to our children, what we do, just to come around understanding. I call it the softness today of the culture. But that's the new culture of softness. So we have to change to it. We can't say this is how you do it. You have to look at it and we do it. I believe our district, and again, we can look at test scores all day, but as a district, we're at 71.6, I believe, overall. As a district, we have every year that I've been superintendent, our school SPS score has increased overall as a district. We see schools move up and down as we go along. But overall, I believe our schools are not where they need to be. I would love for all our kids to pass and achieve high success, but our kids come a long way. We have to look at growth. And sometimes when a young man comes to us and they can't spell their name when they arrive to us in the 4th grade, that's a tragedy because that student comes way behind because
From another system when you
they
say
don't have the
process.
vocabulary. They haven't been taught vocabulary at home because we don't know. We travel to a lot of kids, a lot of our students' homes, our principals, our teachers. And when you go home and ask where a young man sleeps at night or a young lady sleeps at night, we don't know. So as educators, the first thing we have to do in the morning is make sure that student feels safe at school. And again, we haven't extended that school day. We are on a 177 school day calendar. We have not put one more minute into our school. But if you look at what our teachers have to do before the day starts, when we look at it, so we can talk about a test score all day long, and we can talk about a building being symbolism. But I know this, I want our children to have the best facilities to walk into. I go back to 2013, and members on the board, when we said, we're gonna take our students out of MLK. If you saw, we could fish at MLK underneath the building. Some of you guys saw it, Ms. Young saw it, John saw it, agreed. And when they go by that building now in MLK, they see a fabulous facility. And I would love to do that with put our kids in new facilities because it's tough for us, because you take pride and ownership of those buildings. But again, if we're judging our kids on a test score, I know we have art and music and orchestra. We put as many programs into our schools as possible. We have the 4-H, we have the Boy Scouts, everything we can do to round that, to make that a whole child, an entire child. And I close with saying, if we're gonna judge our kids on a test score only, then we're in trouble. Because when we see growth, and we look at growth in our charts, We see how students are growing from one year. So if I was an unsat and scored a 210, the next year I'm still an unsat, but I scored a 240. That means I grew 30 points. I didn't grow where I need to be, but I grew, and I'm getting better. And again, we want to expose our kids to everything possible. Because I tell folks, when you expose kids and you let them see what's going on, you see a different young man because it opens their eyes up. Because a lot of our kids go home to a bad experience. And I don't think people understand the bad experience they go home to. So I appreciate, your support in that sense, but I promise you, our district works hard. We got phenomenal custodians, cafeteria workers, parents, bus drivers, teachers, administration across our district that give every day. We don't know it, but high school principal gets home at midnight on Tuesday night. Midnight. He's back at work at 6:30 in the morning. It's not just to start school. It's a plumbing issue in the morning. People don't realize all the things that go on that he has to take care of. And then we go to teachers in the morning. You've seen the list, you and us, those of LSBA, when that guy popped that list down, shows you all the things that they're responsible for before we teach English, math, science, and social studies. And we keep getting more on us, and we beg the legislators to stop putting it on the teachers. Let them teach our kids. It's not our responsibility sometimes, they make it our responsibilities. So I appreciate it, guys. That's my response, and everything that constituent said, we are doing currently.
Thank you, Dr. Padrine. Also had a certain situation for a year and a half called COVID, which had an effect on education. We had one from the audience who wanted to speak, and then after that, we can open up any other questions. Ms. Sandy Lally, I wanted to speak. As you know, Ms. Lally, 3 minutes, and you know the drill.
Good evening, board president, board members. I'm not sure even how I want to say this. Dr. Padrine just mentioned how dedicated our paras, our cafeteria workers, our custodial workers, how they give and they give and they give, but they feel underappreciated. Looking at the superintendent's contract, roughly 200. And in this market, in this economy, to me, that's a lot of money. And it speaks highly of what we expect of him. But when we pay our custodial workers, when we pay our bus drivers, when we pay our cafeteria workers, it's not even a minuscule part. They cannot even, once they pay insurance, Dr. Padrine, 4% raise. Give $1,000. Our poor clerks here in the central office are so underpaid. I would like to see something in the superintendent's contract for employees. There used to be a component where there was appreciation. I know there's teacher appreciation day and stuff like that, but there used to be a part where the employees knew they were appreciated. They're underpaid. We got parents that cover classes, which is totally illegal because we're so understaffed with teachers. But at no point are they compensated. I come tonight assuming, and I know what that means, that you're going to approve the contract. At some point in time, maybe Dr. Padrine with some board members could initiate something in the contract that would give our employees a substantial increase so that they can see it, that not be absorbed with insurances and stuff like that. I would like to see that most of our cafeteria workers start out with a minimum of $14, $15 an hour because they serve our children. I would like to see the superintendent do something to let our employees know, come rain or shine, hell or high water, they're appreciated and that they only deserve the best. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions for Dr. Padrine, comments?
I will concur with Ms. Lally, and we are doing that. We are doing that. Everybody knows the last 2 years we were awarded $2,000, $1,000 this past January, $1,000 is coming May. And we're also working on the salary schedules, also looking at it with Ms. Howard to make sure that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Padrine,
Okay, Ms. Shelley?
one thing.
Okay.
Ms. Lally mentioned an appreciation showing appreciation to the employees. Years ago, when I was employed in Monroe City, Lorraine Slack used to have an appreciation. Remember?
I do.
And I think that would be a great idea to do it once again. Not once, I mean, do it over and over, but. Started, yes.
Good idea.
And at the Civic Center. And I think that would be a great idea. So let's look at that. Thank you, babe. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so any other comments?
Call for the question.
Okay, question's been called, motion's been made, second. We're gonna do a roll call vote. Ms. Tanya, starting in District 1, I will vote last. If you go ahead, please, ma'am.
Mr. Sampanero, Ms. Hayline,
In favor.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Not in favor.
Mr. Johnson,
In favor.
Ms. Shellen,
I abstained because I have not had an opportunity to look at the contract until last night. I would like to compare, even though I've been told that the contract contains the same information that it did the last time. I think there's one area that does not, and that's in salary. But I would like to be able to look at the contract, and therefore I abstain.
okay, 5 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1
In
abstained.
favor?
I'm sorry, Mr. Wilson.
That's okay, in favor.
5 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 abstained.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to reports, financial reports.
You heard the financial report from our financial auditor. They're online as always. January financial reports are up. We review our budget monthly, looking at where we are in budget. We like where we are right now. And look for those things. Superintendent report. We're looking at a sub bonus every year. The last 2 years, we've done a sub bonus for our employees. That's all employees, custodians, cafeteria workers, substitute teachers. I've given them a bonus. So the school year ends, we'll bring it to the finance committee here next month, and we pay them in July. We have to do that in the year because that's 1 month behind. But we can give them sub bonuses that we've done the last 2 years. All of us. Also, again, I met with Inc. this morning. IAK, that's the new Head Start, who has the program. They take over June 1st from prime time, and we meet with them. I'll send you a test schedule out for the upcoming monthly test, and you'll be shocked when you see it. Our staff meetings will be held when we get back from spring break with all of our schools. Cody Chase from Neville High School has been has been recognized as a state semifinalist teacher of the year for the state of Louisiana. So we're excited about Cody. I think Ms. Jackie Anderson told me this is 4 years in a row we've had a principal or a teacher nominated. And to say this, I was with our in the district from 97 to 2013. We had 2 in 15 years, and now we've had 4 years. We had 1 4 years in a row a person. So that's really outstanding to do that right there. And also I look forward to the meetings next state.
COSMA,
COSMA.
Consortium of State School Board
Should
Associations.
be attending. I look forward to seeing everybody visit in that time period. And again, I thank you for your support of the board. Thank you very much and continue to work.
Quick question, Drew.
Excuse me, Mr. President, can I have a question, please? I have a question.
Absolutely, sure.
On the sub bonus, are we looking at any increase on sub bonuses, this year? It happens, but I know we have some long-term subs that are playing in the roles as teachers and they're doing everything. And I do understand that we cannot pay them as a certified teacher, but you have some teachers, you have some, I know bus drivers as well, and the rest of the staff across the district. So I was just wondering, was we looking at any kind of increase for the sub bonuses this year? Because I know we normally do based off of days for the subs and how much time they have served. But however, if we look at the sales tax, and you know, that fluctuates because of the city. So sometimes the tax go up, sometimes the tax go down, so their checks are different. The subs are pretty much the same all the time. So I was trying to figure out, I know you said you've already been in meetings talking about some numbers. I can't speak for everybody on the board, but it will be nice for some of the people that serve really hard as, full-time subs and that's here majority of the time with us, serving our students. And we see some type of increase in that area for them.
Yes, we have proposed that. I've spoken, we'll meet on that to talk about what percentage, how many days you work, and how much it'll be, but we are looking to increase that with our substitutes in that nature. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Dr. Shaffer.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Yes, Mr. Barrett?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I have made a lot of calls to a lot of constituents, and also I wanted to mention that Dr. Green did take my advice and meet with a number of community leaders in the community, and they came to agreement. And one of the things I want to do, working with Dr. Green, is to increase the pay of the employees. That's one of the main things I want to do, and I want to make sure that that happens under Dr. Green's watch. So that's one of the main things I want to see done. And I also want all these projects that we have, for the next 2 years. It's good for Dr. Green to still be here so he can help make sure all these projects complete themselves. And so, and also during that time, we can work on our employees to make sure that they're paid the right amount of money. So I appreciate that. Look forward to working with Dr. Green and the rest of the board members.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Okay, time to move on to board members report. Mrs. Cooper?
No report.
Okay. Mr. Sinclair?
I would just like to say that I think the school board's headed in the right direction, the school system, and the stability is going to help out a lot. And we've got a lot of stability in the schools. It's been set in place, and I think it's time to move on.
Mr. Johnson? Thank you, Mr. Sinclair.
No report.
Ms. Sanger?
No report.
Mr. Sheldon?
Yes.
See, there's a lot of You want to get out of here?
No, I want to get out of there.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I've had quite an interesting month, visiting my schools in my district. And that's all of the schools. When I say my schools, that means all of the schools. I had an opportunity to visit, the first one was Roy Neal Shelling Elementary, during the reading program, where I was invited to read to the fourth grade students. I enjoyed it immensely. And the students were extremely attentive and listened as I read to them. They were amazing students. I do not remember the book itself, but it was about a self-image and how you should feel about yourself. And they were totally attentive to that. My second trip was to Barker Falk, BJ, was to Barker Falk, where I was invited to the Black History program, where the students were depicted throughout the whole program. I have one somewhere, I don't know what happened to it. The award?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got that also. But Barker Falk presented the Black History program where each class was given a plaque for doing a presentation. It was a tremendous program, a very, very nice program. And I was proud to have been there and to witness it. It was a great day at Barker Falk Elementary, and I enjoyed the event. I learned from the event that on the bottom of the program, it says that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you've done, but people will never forget how you made them feel. For an elementary setting, that was perfect, because that's what it was all about. And then I had an opportunity to visit Carroll Junior High program. Y'all see? Yep, they gave us awards, they gave us plaques. This is for my husband, in appreciation of your many years of dedicated service, devotion, and commitment to our community. And myself and Geneva Gray were elated over this. We were in tears because they did not have to do that, and I really truly mean it. And this is the program here where they recognize several of our community leaders. They recognize Dr. Sanders, Dr. Valerie Fields, Roy Shelley, and Julia Gray. And I was very, very surprised by that. I also attended the press conference on flag presentation of new banners sponsored by the City of Monroe Chamber, by the ULM department and Delta Community College. They're going to install these flags at each school with the mascot on the front face cover and the name of the school on the back cover.
10 at each school, 5 and 5 ULM, Delta Community College.
That's right. And it was such a wonderful occasion. And I wanted to thank Mr. Wilson for the hard work that he presented. Mr. Berry attended and myself, and Mr. Wilson, Mr. Chamber President.
Right, Roy Heatherly.
Mr. Heatherly was there also. It was a wonderful, wonderful occasion. In addition to all of these, I attended last Saturday, the Dr. Falk presentation of their crowning. Oh, here's the Dr. Falk right here. The crowning of their royalty. It was beautiful. It was beautifully decorated, and I really truly wish that all of you could have been there. And with that, that's the end.
Thank you, Michelle. Mr. Berry? No comment. Thank you, Mr. Berry. Wanted to remind everyone, Ms. Marie Brown is helping put on, once again, the Juneteenth celebration. I'm proud to say that I'm going to be able to be a sponsor again. And that's going to be obviously June 17th. And part of that is a celebration salute to educators. So I thought that was awesome that y'all are doing that. And thanks again, Mrs. Brown, for that. And again, to remind everyone, we will be out of town March 29th through April 3rd for the COSFA, Consortium of State School Board Association. This is basically, in effect, replacing NSBA. And so we're looking forward to the first annual COSFA conference. So our future meeting, Board of Education meeting is April 11th, and then later May 9th. Have item 9, executive session. I didn't know we were going into executive session, and we are not. So
Make a motion, we adjourn.
a motion made. Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you. I didn't
Very smelly. Yeah, that's why I want to.